Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating, it's Wednesday, June 24th, 2015. Ra and Pan here in the Lynn-Body-Mind, Asha and Black Wolf in the Jamie Body-Mind. Other teammates, some in recuperation in non-physical realms above, and others in the non-physical in deeper subatomic levels. There is an awful lot going on in the subatomic levels right now. We don't want to pull on this session in any way, so we're going to be non-directive in our intention. Our intention is to do what is ours to do in all dimensions right now, to trigger the awakening right now. And with that, it begins. I am following Pan down some corridors.
That's true.
And this has the sense of being deep in the subatomic levels.
That's true.
That cavern that we used radiation therapy on this morning seems to be above us. We seem to be beneath that.
That's true.
Those who are in resistance to living their own soul plans, those who don't wish to put their channels up, have been burrowing down into the subatomic levels of the physical for apparently quite some time.
That's
there
true.
have been cities and civilizations established that are entirely horizontal in
That's
nature. There is no vertical flow, and there are actually structures in place to, quote, protect against, unquote, vertical flow. In other words, to prevent connection with spirit.
That's true.
In these deeper subatomic levels. And their whole city is down there.
That's true.
And as we are moving deeper and deeper through the subatomic levels, these beings who don't want their identities to come to light,
That's true.
Who don't want to pay the price for the karma that they're racking up,
That's true.
are blowing up their own cities.
Yes, that's true.
Including the
Residents.
residents
Right.
of their own cities in an attempt to destroy the evidence,
That's
which
true.
is just woohoo crazy because everything is recorded.
That
And
is
this
true.
too is recorded, and they're making it 1,000 times worse for themselves. 1,000 times worse.
They're destroying evidence of bad karma by doing things that will actually give them worse karma.
The end never justifies the means.
That's
Life is
true.
lived in the means, and so we're running refugee aid stations
true.
and railroads out of these zones, and people are showing up with their faces and hands blown off.
That's true.
And, just in every bit as much pain as you would expect.
That's true.
Someone who is living in a city that has been blown up by their own government, quote unquote.
Quote unquote. That's true.
And so we come in and we find these areas of such great suffering, and everything is sentient. Everything, the land itself is sentient. And so we see how this is a cancer that has become so malignant that it has to be radiated. It needs radiation therapy. So
That's
we
true.
radiate to just take it down to ash. And then there is a cavern that is clean.
That's
and
true.
big, and the light flows in, and through that we can reach into the surrounding areas. And as we do that, many souls just bubble up and out.
That's true.
And so it's as if the rural population, so to speak,
Yes.
is able to then find their way to the light.
That's true.
And we are underneath that last big cavernous opening that we were working with earlier today.
Yes, that's true.
And we're going down these horizontal, barricaded horizontal hallways.
Yes, that's true.
That have these really solid-looking concrete slab, bomb shelter-looking
That's true.
ceilings. They
Top
look
and bottom. That's
top
true.
and bottom, each layer built as protected as possible. And
That's
he's
true.
talking about how the populace was just being fed media messages about this was for their own safety.
That's true.
And we see how it's kind of a twisting of what we were saying above. We were saying seal the ceiling so the contamination doesn't spread.
That is
and
true.
here they're saying seal the ceilings so the
to keep the
contamination doesn't
contamination
spread.
here. That is true.
They're saying the same thing, but what they're calling contamination is the light from source.
That's true.
So it's really fascinating. They're saying the same thing. And this
true.
message comes up over and over again. It has for several years now.
That's
We've
true.
become aware of, when we were teaching spiritual practice
That's
through this
true.
body-mind, became aware of other teachers in other rooms saying fundamentally the same words, but they didn't mean it. They were
true.
faking it, and everybody would just get behind closed doors and put their feet up and drink lattes.
That's true.
And that's not spiritual growth, that's something else.
That's true.
So this is the same, other rooms saying the same words, but a completely different meaning.
That's true.
And Pan is showing how everything is horizontal. Electricity, he's pointing out construction things.
It's true.
And it's all horizontal. Everything is horizontal, so that if one layer is lost, they can just seal it.
That's true.
Again, we notice how people who are struggling, fighting against their soul plans, against spirit, are much more on it.
That's true.
than the people who we're trying to get to live their soul plans.
That's true.
If we had this same level of solidity up above to contain the contamination, this problem would have been solved a long time
That's true.
ago. It's fascinating.
It is fascinating. That's true.
Just live streaming that up. That's so important, and I don't
That
understand
is
it.
true.
Live streaming it up. And by live streaming it up from here, we're aligning ourselves even more with the central core. Let's bifurcate. And again, we remember that they said, what do you know? I know that down here, down in the subatomic, the bifurcation rules seem to be that we bifurcate to attract beings who self-define with the soul plan of all non-physical
That's
beings, to trigger the awakening right now, no matter what anyone else does or doesn't do. And if they don't respond to that call, then the law of repulsion will push
Fling
them away.
That's
fling
true.
them away. So let's bifurcate down here. All those whose soul plans are to trigger the awakening right now, no matter what anyone else does or doesn't do, come to the center. All others flung away. And I'm shown what look like churches and little groups huddled, and they're like mumbling strange words to block this out so that they can't hear the call of their own soul. It's
That's
fascinating.
true.
Do you see that?
I do see that.
That's fascinating.
That's true.
All right, what now?
What now?
What now? What now?
Live
Well,
streaming it.
continue. They say continue down, and so
That's true.
I believe that what they mean is to continue moving down to the next. We can hear these explosions deeper and deeper in
That's
the
true.
subatomic, where these like retreating forces in a struggle against their own higher souls
Yes.
are blowing up their own civilizations and the residents
That's
in
true.
a weird scorched earth policy
That's
against
true.
their own souls.
That's true.
Okay. And to follow that down. And it's really, I smell fire, I hear screams, I smell blood, I smell gore.
It does smell like blood. That's true.
So just right down there, obviously.
That's true.
And just come in with light, drawing in
Oof.
higher souls and future lives,
Higher
refreshing
souls and
ourselves,
future lives.
drawing in higher souls, starting to tune to the pitch of the higher souls, destined to occupy the immediate presences, and this kind of starts to open up a pathway, but there's a big exhale coming up at us.
That's true.
As we open this up, the souls underneath are wanting to come out, and so we just send them up to that transport
Train
station.
That's true.
Where they can get aid and be put on transport to take them out of the physical and
That's
into
true.
the non-physical. Pulsing down from right underneath the city that is just burning and suffering and screaming
That's
everywhere.
true.
And so pulsing from underneath it, trying to get out everybody who's willing to come right now.
That's
Everyone
true.
who's willing to come, singing the song of the soul, tuning to the pitch of the higher souls destined to occupy the physical presence. And that will tune to their own soul's pitches, and they will, in theory, follow them up. Now
That's
we can
true.
tune to perfect balance between the higher souls and the immediate presence. And my perception is there's an upward rush, an exhale.
That's true.
And now to shine the light, and now to know that there are surely aspects of ourselves down there.
That is true.
And I don't want to be racking up any bad karma.
No.
And so my intention is right now to irradiate the area.
That is true.
So that I will be stopped from racking up any more bad karma.
That's true.
And all those like me who
And
are
all those
confused
like
and
me.
well-intentioned.
Me
Right?
and all those like me.
Me and all those like me.
And now to explain how what we're doing is different from the Scorched Earth policy. The Scorched Earth policy that's being used by those beings who are attempting to avoid their own soul plans is destroying all those people so that I can escape and be safe. And what we're doing is like radiation
Merging
therapy.
and burning. We're
Exactly.
merging and
We're
burning.
doing it to myself.
For my
own self-care
benefit
and for the benefit of all those I'm merged with. Benefit of all those at this level.
So what we just did was tune to the pitches of our own higher souls, all of us
All
in
of
this
us.
big space that was a civilization center.
That's
And
true.
those who were able to connect to the vibration of their own soul
That's
went
true.
up. And those who didn't aren't even able to connect to the vibration of their own soul. In other words, they've been body snatched.
That's true.
Right?
That's
They've
true.
been body snatched. And so if I've been body snatched down here, an aspect of me is living down here and has been body snatched.
I
It's
don't want
racking
that
up
to
bad karma
continue.
that I don't want
Exactly.
to continue to
No.
occur. And so please, please, please burn
Please,
me.
please
And so I am burning
burn.
myself and
Burning
all those
myself.
like me. All those
All
like me. I'm
those
just
like me.
irradiating the area with light, with such intense light that it's kind of spontaneously
Combusting.
combusts.
That's true.
Just bringing in light, enough light, focused, magnified in glasses, focusing light
That's
can
true.
create flame.
That's
It's
true.
as if we're just focusing the light in this one cavern. So we see even in the opening process where we draw the focus to the intersection of some chakra and
That's
vertical
true.
channels, let it build a critical
Critical
light,
mass
and then boom!
That's
It
true.
pops. That's what we're doing. Again, we're just building in this place a critical mass of
Of
light,
light.
and then boom, it pops.
That's true.
And now we just pulse.
Pulse. Let it
Again,
clear.
from underneath this cavern.
That's true.
Pulsing underneath. And exhale out. Pan is again showing the power supplies.
I see
And how
that.
everything is horizontal.
That's true.
And that this was... He maybe participated in this and he's feeling really badly and he wants to withdraw it. I don't know whether or not this is the same as what Pan was doing back in maybe December or January when he was pulling
that's
out,
true.
unplugging the power from the nature realms that was feeding everything. And
That's
he was
true.
just saying, we're done feeding
done.
this. And he did once more rewire it into supporting the status quo.
That's
and
true.
before it was supporting the superstructure and the physical. He rewired it to only support the status quo, just structurally doing that by only wiring it horizontally.
That's true.
In between these
Layers of
concrete
concrete.
slabs.
I see that.
Or bomb shelter slabs.
Right,
And he
that's
wasn't
true.
conceptualizing it as I'm only supporting horizontal patterns.
That's
but
true.
he can see that that is what he
Well,
did.
that's
He
true.
wasn't thinking of it that way, but that is the outcome.
That's true.
And so he wants to undo this. That was a
That is
mistake.
true.
That was a mistake.
Correct the error.
Correct the error.
That's true.
And he'll get to what the right thing to do is after the fact. But it's clearly, this was clearly a mistake.
That's true. Got it.
Okay, well let's just start correcting errors for all of us.
That's true.
For all of us right here. At least Pan wants to correct his errors. He really
That's
wants
true.
to correct it. Let's help correct the errors.
That's true.
the horizontal thinking errors,
Ah.
the horizontal focus errors, the
That's
horizontal structure errors.
That's true.
And one thing that's absolutely certain is that when we got down here and we could no longer hear anything coming from up above, that we did what everybody always does.
That's true.
Is bring their channels down. We're not
That's
going to
true.
have been the one exception in all the universe.
No.
We're going to have fallen into that same pattern. As soon as we couldn't hear, our channels would start doing something.
That's true.
So we can correct the horizontal errors.
That's true.
And that focuses the error correction more, and we can
That's
get
true.
this done. And I can see up in the transports that as we're making this horizontal correction through all these dimensions and all these various subatomic levels, that something is clearing up in the transport station and
That's
moving
true.
better. Isn't that
That's
interesting?
true.
Let's correct the horizontal errors all up and down
That's
the
true.
pike.
Ooh.
And it feels very similar to that crunching toward the center motion.
Yeah, that's true.
Just correct our own horizontal errors for us and all beings like us, for us and all beings like us, good-hearted, well-intentioned people, simply trying to make our way in a space that has no higher dimension support.